Madness continues as we are approaching the Sweet 16 Elite Eight for this weekend. We're going to dive into those games, give our previews, our takes, and then also, look back on, some of the bigger games that took place in the round of 64 and around the 32. This is Ballin Out. You got Nate, Grant, Sean Robinson as you guys' hosts for today. We're still, in the month of March and the madness has continued. It's not as loud, as it has been in years past. Not as many upsets or Cinderellas, at this point in the tournament. But there has been, some exciting games, some exciting finishes, endings, things. So we'll definitely dive into that. And then also, like I said, looking forward to this weekend. We got the Sweet 16 on Thursday and Friday, and then Elite Eights on Saturday and Sunday. So we'll definitely, look more into that. So let's go before you get into the Sweet 16, you go backwards a little bit. You guys have, any games you wanted to touch on that took place this past weekend in the first two rounds? I know we had, like I said, had some wild endings to a couple of games, but what were you guys' favorite watches? Games you were tuned into for sure.
Yeah, I got a couple right now off just kind of top of my head there. That Kansas St. John's game was cinema. Just just two legends going at it, you could tell. It was fun. Actually, I will say it was nice seeing Darren Peterson out there, still hooping, doing his thing. At the end of the day, man, that was a fun. That was one of the buzzer beaters we've seen go down here. So, for me, that was one of them. I could talk about the Kentucky game. That was obviously intense, but the one that really popped out for me was the Florida Iowa for multiple reasons. For one, obviously Florida going down, but my goodness, those two head coaches going at it like that.
Man.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't know how much you guys saw of that live. I mean, obviously I was kind of flipping back and forth and then I saw, that toward the end of it. And yeah, I don't think I turned away from that game to end it off. So, that was definitely, those were two of my highlights. Obviously besides, my two favorite teams. Those were two of the games I kind of had highlighted.
Yeah, I mean that St. John's Kansas game was so back and forth. I feel like at one point they said that St. John's was up like 13 or 14, and
Mhm.
then within like the last 5 minutes, Kansas came all the way back, uh, just to lose it at the very end there. But that was definitely one of especially I think a lot of people wanted to see that game to be good. So that was fun to see it go down to the wire. I know we had talked about it a little bit last week. Grant your hogs. Uh, it was fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie, Darius Acuff. We were talking about him a little bit before we started. He's a hooper, man. He just gets to it, and I feel like normally the tournament doesn't boost draft stock too much, but man, this guy, if he keeps showing out and shows that he could probably play like this on the next level, I don't see why he can not, get drafted even higher than what he's projected right now. I mean, because it's one thing to drop 30, but like drop 30 plus in a tournament, pressure game. I think what did he do? 2 games in a row? Didn't he have 30
Yeah.
back to back games?
Yeah.
He's just fun to watch, and
Mhm.
I'm excited to see them, play this next game in the Sweet 16 here. That was one that I liked. I think obviously you guys probably saw it too. MSU last game to make it into the Sweet 16 was I think they played extremely well. Cohen Carr was man he had one of his better offensive games that I had seen all year. I thought.
All his career, I thought. I
Yeah,
think that's the best game he's played as a Spartan for real.
Yeah, you
so
could
it,
tell.
it
You could tell.
it was super fun to watch that. Just being like an MSU fan, but I mean, on the other hand of it, I know we picked Michigan to go pretty far too, and they've been looking pretty dominant as well, winning their games pretty handily. So yeah, I think like we said, I think like High Point upset, Texas making it this far. We were talking about that a little bit too. Like they kind of came out of nowhere, but there's some teams that are surprising. But I think the main core of the teams that are still have the potential to win it all aren't too surprising for right now.
Yeah. I think the only one that, is obviously, Florida.
Eh,
That got out early, but yeah, I mean the contenders from the beginning, you're looking at all the one seeds except for, outside of Florida, they're still in it. Houston, Grant, I know you had them winning it, they're still in it. I will say, like, Purdue has been looking kind of solid, to start, coming off that Big Ten tournament championship win, but they're looking solid. So, they're hopefully to keep it going. Yeah, man, Nate, you mentioned it, but shout off Cass Tech legends, Darius Acuff, bro. He is definitely. I think like I've read a couple like articles just since the round of 32 has ended, and like his draft stock is like getting up there. Like I saw one executive say like he could go 3, you know, possibly over like Cam Boozer. So, Grant, I know you got to be happy about that, man. To see him just hooping out there, and yeah, shout out to Godfather, Rick Pitino. He still got it. Rick Pitino still got it, man. I really, just the ending of that game. I think to me, like I get it, like why Kansas was trying to foul and everything, but just then the defense when they decided not to foul was just a complete collapse. Like I don't know, he literally just had a clear lane to the hoop, no reverse layup, and that was game right there. So, and then you did touch on Nate, the Wisconsin High Point game. That was pretty good to see, but High Point couldn't get it done. I mean, yeah, outside of like Texas, pretty much like everybody was expected, I think, to be here. That is here. Yeah, maybe you could argue Iowa, just because of the upset, but I mean, for the most part, yeah, everyone's still here. So yeah,
You say
but
you could argue Iowa? Iowa was definitely not supposed to be here, dog.
I mean, they weren't supposed to be here. They definitely weren't supposed to be here. But I mean,
They
like,
know they're not supposed to be here.
I mean, they believe it. They believe that. I believe that for sure. I don't know how you pronounce that, but you know what I'm talking about. They believed it, but I don't know about everybody else. I don't know. I sure didn't.
yeah, you're probably right. So yeah, let's look into the Sweet 16 matchups, man. We got a couple, good ones going down. Really, I think all of them are going to be pretty elite, I would say. So starting on Thursday, we got the first game is Texas and Purdue. You just talked about Texas, as they're running from the first 4. Now they made it here. And we was talking. I remember we was talking last week just about BYU and how they kind of struggled all season, and here they are, Texas. They won round 1 and now they're on to round 2. Can they keep it going? I'd say they're probably like the only Cinderella in here outside of Iowa. But do you guys think the Longhorns can upset Purdue?
See, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I didn't even expect them to win the first game, so I can't say too much. Me and Nate were talking too right before you got in there, Sean. Like, why did we pick Gonzaga? Why did we do this? Like, they didn't have a star this year. I mean, I think their one good player was out, I believe. So it's like at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, hindsight is 2020, but man, like I think we missed the ball on that one there. I think that's kind of why we all saw in my eyes. I had, the winner of that game beating Gonzaga the next round. I thought at the end of the day, I just didn't believe that much in Gonzaga, but I also kind of believe more just specifically AJ. So seeing Texas get that done, it'll definitely be interesting. I mean, they've already played 3 games so far, which is, more than just about anybody else out there still. So I just think, like we were saying earlier, Purdue is just playing some really good ball right now. I mean, they closed out the season about as best you could, the regular season, excuse me, the best you could. Braden Smith's playing phenomenal. Kaufman, I mean, he's playing phenomenal as well down low. And so it's like, I just think at some point now this Texas team's going to get outmatched. I think Purdue is just playing too good. And I know we'll get to it, but the winner of that Arizona-Arkansas game, like, if it is Purdue in that next round, that's gonna be a tough out too. So watch that West region in my eyes. I think that'll be a really good one, as well as the East.
Yeah, for what you all just said, like Purdue probably is going to be the heavily favored team, but honestly, at this point, I want to see a little bit more of the Cinderella run. I think at this point, Braden Smith, he's gotten his all-time assist record. Like, I think Purdue's kind of checked a lot of the things on their checklist that they want. Obviously, they want to try to win a national championship, but I would not be mad to see Texas move on, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up exactly, but I think they'd be like the first team in a while to make it all the way from the first 4 to the Elite 8. So It's got to
Mhm.
be like 10 plus years or something. I'd have to go back and look at it exactly,
Yeah,
but
is it the what was that UCLA team? They make it? Were they the
I think they made it to the Sweet 16. I don't know if they made it to the Elite Eight. I feel like they lost, but you could be right though. You could be
It might
right.
have been Sweet 16, I forget, but yeah, that probably
Yeah.
was one of the last ones right there.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, hey, we'll see, how the Longhorns can, face up against, Purdue. That'll be the first game on Thursday in Sweet 16. And then right after that, or I guess same time, we got two Big Ten teams going at it for the third time this year, Iowa and Nebraska. This I expect this game to be like exactly how it is in the regular season, a dogfight between two Big Ten teams that I guess kind of are surprises. I'd say this like Sweet 16 matchup is both surprising between both these teams. Like Nebraska, I thought personally like they would kind of fall off. Maybe win one game the first round. I didn't think they were going to make it this far, and then Grant, as you said, nobody expected Iowa except for Iowa natives to make it this far. Uh, so, what are you guys' thoughts about this game?
Yeah, I think I mean very well said. Because I think Nebraska too, just the fact that they had a chance to win the very first ever tournament game, and then they did that and they beat Vandy, which that game was also we kind of glazed over that one, but that was, I mean, Vandy had the shot that was, I mean, the Gordon Hayward, kind of rim away from going
Almost
in. It
winning
was,
and
I mean, literally, I saw that someone posted the picture on social, and it was like this ball did not go in. I mean, it's like it's going, it's in the hoop. It's actually insane. So yeah, also shout out Gavin Gerke. I had to pay him $50 for that one. So he sucks. But anyway, yeah, no, that was so like that was surprising for one to see Nebraska. Then obviously like well, Iowa's gone through too, just taking down the reigning champ. So like do they continue, what they're doing, or is like does Nebraska continue like the run they're on? It's really a two different storylines, but like kind of both in the Cinderella making. I know Nebraska is a 4 seed, but it kind of does feel different just because again their whole history and all that kind of feels again just like Indiana, for football, if
mhm,
you will, a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. When I initially made the pick, I picked Troy, and my reasoning because Nebraska had never won a tournament game. I later found out neither had Troy, so that's really on me. They both had never won a game in the tournament, so my logic really did not make any sense. But it is going to be a shootout, probably. I think both these teams have guys that can, you know, chuck up threes at a high rate. Based on matchup wise, I mean, you could probably say Nebraska has a little bit of an edge, just based on I think their size. But at the same time, I would not doubt Iowa, a team that just knocked off the national, reigning champs. So I'm gonna stay out of this one. It's a Big Ten matchup. You never really know; it can go either way with these ones. But it will be fun to watch, I think. But yeah, I'm unbiased between either team.
I feel it. Yeah, I would agree because right now Nebraska is opened up as 1.5 point favorites.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
that sounds about
it's
right.
tough. Yeah, that'll be
Hoiberg's Hoiberg's gonna need to coach his ass off, and his son's gonna need to play his ass off,
man.
like he has been at the start of the tournament here. Because it does seem like the guard play has mattered a lot in this tournament so far in terms of like controlling the pace of the games. So that's one thing at least I'll be looking out for is how they can contribute.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. Then you got the two next games to cap it off. Uh, Arkansas Grants Hogs versus Arizona
Yeah.
Wildcats. And then Illinois and Houston. So Grant, let's I know we already talked about Darius Acuff and what he's been doing this tournament, but you think they could knock off Arizona, who is I mean arguably all season has been like the best team.
Yeah. I mean Arizona is a very good team. Last I looked, they were still the have favorites to win it all. We know all about their talent, but the thing is, they don't have Darius Acuff. They just don't. Well, they got Pete, whatever, but he's not Darius Acuff. He's not dropping 30 points a game all the time on everybody's head top like it's no problem. So the end of the day for me is like I I've also so invested in this Arkansas team, so I know all of these strengths and I kind of ignore their weaknesses. However, the only thing I will say is, I mean, we only run about 7 guys deep. And so anytime we ever get into foul trouble, which, I mean, college refs are very good, so they never make any bad calls, so we'll be fine there. But it's like, if you get in trouble against a team like that now, Darius Acuff is as good as he is, of course, but it's like at some point, I mean, we're gonna need to expand the depth of this team next year, and Calipari knows that and all that. But right now, that's the one thing that concerns me most. There is just if we were to get into some foul trouble there, or say Acuff gets into foul trouble, what are you gonna do there? But if you can stay out of foul trouble, if you can get Brazil just to knock down 3 or 2, I mean, DJ's got to play his ass off. I mean, the season's vet now at this point, so he should be. That's the thing. So yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, I've picked Arkansas in all mine, every single one of my brackets. There hasn't been one that picked Arizona. So that's probably not good. That's probably really bad. But I'm gonna rock with them simply because of Darius Acuff. At the end of the day, I think if it gets down to that clutch time scenario, I've watched it. I mean, Hawaii wasn't really the same. Arkansas controlled that whole game, but High Point wouldn't go away for a little bit. They started hitting some shots, and then Acuff just kind of just took over. Was like, you know what, this is our game to win. And I know
Yeah,
it's High Point, but it's like he just can flip a switch, and for that reason, I'm gonna take Arkansas with the upset here.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with our bracket, and I'm gonna continue rooting for the Hogs. They're just fun to watch. I feel like they're a fast paced team.
Hmm.
It's fun to see a guard like Acuff too, who's like, not only is he good offensively, but I feel like just too his passing has surprised me too. Whether it be in transition or off the dribble, whatever it may be. But yeah, I mean Arizona, they're gonna be tough regardless. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with our bracket. But
I agree. I'm gonna stick with the bracket. I'm gonna go Hogs here. Bryn Burries has stepped up big time, for the Wildcats, and especially in that round 2 game. But yeah, I mean, you just got to be able to stop a guy that's been averaging 30 points, and that's not an easy task, because he's been scoring, at ease, at will, basically getting anything that he wants. So no, I think that either way, it's going to be a great game, great,
Yeah,
fantastic.
and just super quick too is I mean, we're just everywhere is athletic. Everywhere we have Billy Richmond's one of the most athletic guys out there. Brazil, our big man, I mean, runs the floor. I mean, every single person. That's the thing. It's kind of like MSU in a sense where we just get out, push the pace and all that. It's exactly what they do to it, basically to a T right there. And if they don't, I just like their their half court offense a little bit better with Acuff, just a guy that can. Because that's the thing. I mean, like Nate mentioned, his passing is up there with some of the best out there. He is a really good passer, simply because I think he's got some also really good handles and just get by guys, and then
Yeah.
just kind of naturally gets other people open. So that's the thing. He doesn't really have to try too hard at that. That's the thing with it is he makes everything happen with the offense. It makes everybody else out there better. And so if he can continue to do this, like I've seen throughout the season, that's why I think it'll be a dogfight, no doubt. But I do like the Arkansas.
Yeah, I agree. Man, last game, Illinois, Houston. What's your thoughts? I'm going Houston in this one for sure. I think I just feel like Kelvin Sampson's, his defense is too strong for, defying the lineup.
Yeah, I think this will be a really good game. I have Houston, of course, because I got them winning it all. But I mean, that European professional basketball team is going to give them a fight. I think it will be a closer game than people think. I really do.
Okay.
yeah, we had picked Houston to win it all, but my own fandom, I'm gonna be rooting for Illinois in this game. I think the only thing that's tough with Illinois is because they are a team essentially of first year players. A lot of these guys, this is their first year on the team, and it's probably going to be the same story for them next year. A lot of these guys are either going to transfer or go pro. But one surprise, or maybe not even super surprised, because he has been in the spotlight this season. But Stojakovic, Peja's son, he's been hooping, and
Hope that.
he's going to be, if he goes to the draft, he's going to be an interesting prospect. It's going to be, can he knock down his shots? But I think he has very high IQ on the court, and he definitely just kind of has like that natural sense of where to be on the floor. Maybe he gets it in his blood, but he's a fun player to watch. But yeah, it's probably gonna come down to who's making those threes. I think because both of these teams shoot a lot of threes, but yeah, probably.
Yeah. I think I think all 4 of these games on Thursday are gonna come down to the wire. I mean, possibly Texas to Purdue, just if, Texas ran out of magic, that game could get ugly early. But really, I think, those other 3 games could come down to the final minute, final second, just because of the teams and, how they've been playing and star players that are, with them. So, yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how Thursday night moves on and into Friday. So, first game on Friday, we got St. John's and Duke. St. John's, beat Kansas like we talked about in the last second of the game. Uh, Duke, I mean, it was the first game, and I think the players even said it too. John Shire kind of said it too. Like they came into that game expecting to win and thought it was going to be a blowout. And that game, I mean, at least for the first half, was kind of like Duke was on the ropes, but they got it done. And then second round, they kind of picked it up and got the job done. But I think that people need to realize that this Duke team is not, or they're more beatable than what I think people thought, coming into the tournament. But what do you guys think about that?
I agree 100%. I mean, they haven't looked great either game, really. I mean, after the first, I mean, yeah, literally, I forget which player it was, said, we kind of expected just to go out there and whoop their ass. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe he just said that. It's like, what are you, I mean, seriously, what are you doing? So it's like, I don't know. I just thought they'd come out with a lot more juice if I'm being honest. I mean, this team was projected to, win it all at this point. I mean, they worked hard to get the 1 seed, everything. Looks like now is the part of the year where they just like don't have it. So
Hmm.
it's a little weird. I mean, not saying, they haven't won, obviously, they won both games, but this is a St. John's team now, and I think, I think the Godfather's got something to prove. Um, and I mean, if he could take this St. John's team and go ahead and go out there and beat Duke, that's huge. So I was leaning Duke for a while, but I think I'm going to change my pick here. I think St. John's gets it done. I have more faith right now in what they're doing compared to the Duke team that just don't, honestly, doesn't seem like they want it as badly.
Yeah. Mm, interesting. What do you think, Nick?
That's a good point. They haven't really been as cohesive as like a St. John's on offense or on defense. Like there was times in that game against Siena where you didn't know who really was like their number one, like in terms of on offense. They were all just kind of looking, hoping the ball will come to them. This Johnny's team, they're full court pressing regardless of a make or a miss. It's fun to watch them on defense. It's fun to watch them, run up and down the court on offense. So I think they definitely will give Duke a run for their money. And honestly, this is probably going to be the next game or we'll talk about. But if MSU happens to sneak by UConn, I think I would rather see a team like Duke, who might not have it totally team chemistry wise right now, than a team like St. John's, who looks like they're all bought in. Uh, But
Yeah.
we won't get too ahead of ourselves on that. But yeah, in terms of optics wise, it definitely looks like St. John's is more locked in as a team right now.
I would agree. Yeah, and yeah, you mentioned, for Michigan State wise, yeah. If we beat UConn, I think I'd much rather see, a team that's kind of been shaking a little bit, formidable than, a team that's kind of, more cohesive and getting it together.
Well, yeah,
Well,
and
we'll see how that game goes. Bama and Michigan, the next game, on Friday nights. I think the way then this is going to hurt me to say this, like these words that I'm about to say right now, but just the way Michigan has been playing, unfortunately, they look like they look like one of the best teams in the country. I can't lie. Just the way they've been playing, just as a group. I mean, Ade Mara has been, just he's been playing like he's Jokic out there. I'll say that. Axel Lindenborg has been, playing like he's the best NBA prospect. And then they have, some other guys like Morris Johnson to kind of fill it out. But Alabama also has been playing some great ball as of late, especially in those first 2 rounds. They could have a chance of beating them, but I think it's going to come down to just a lot of 3-pointers and the ability to make your shots and all of that stuff. Um, I'm going to lean Michigan in this one, but I would love to see the upset and the Crimson Tide get it done if it's possible.
Oh yeah, I mean this is revenge for the Rose Bowl game in football. They
Yeah.
gotta get their look back here. But no, they look good too against Texas Tech. I mean, I know I had gone with Akron to beat Texas Tech just because I thought it'd be a different team without Toppin and all that. But I was right to some degree because Bama went out there and just they beat them by 35 or whatnot. I mean, they just stomped them. I mean, it's special there, but like you said, as much as it pains me to say, Michigan has been playing some good ball. I mean, that region right there, just as you're going through it, man, I'm just not seeing a team that's going to beat Michigan.
Yeah,
I mean, I wish I could, but I just don't see it at the moment. And so, with that, yeah, I would lean Michigan just gambling wise, but obviously, roll Tide.
for sure. For sure.
I think out of this game, it'll be a pretty good coaching battle, at least. Nate Oates and Dusty may have been coaching these teams pretty well all season, but I think now, especially, like, it's going to come down to those adjustments on offense or defense. I am looking towards a guy like Elliot Cadeau, like what he's going to shoot like in a game like this, because there was some games down the stretch of the season where they really needed him and he didn't necessarily show up, which could have been partially why they didn't win the Big Ten tournament. But a guy like him, who's going to have the ball in his hands a lot of the time, if they're heavily contesting Mara or Luxembourg, like uh, he's going to have to make something shake. So, like you guys said, though, it's probably obviously going to be favored towards Michigan, but I think it'll be fun to watch these two coaches go at it.
I agree. Yeah. Then right after that, we got MSU and UConn. The game, I think we're all looking forward to. But Jeremy Fears has been playing some great ball, really, I'd say, since the start of the Big Ten tournament. Yeah, really, I mean, all season. Colin Carr, coming off his best game of his career, and just everybody's been clicking. It's looking great. But then on the UConn side, you got to deal with the Terrace Reed Jr., who has been looking elite, Alex Caravan, who's also been looking elite. And this is a team that, not saying MSU doesn't have the same thing, but I guess a little bit more like a championship experience, right here because they've been here before. Caravan, he's already a 2-time champion, so. Of course, going to lean the Spartans, but what do you guys think, has to happen for them to be able to win this game, move on to the Elite Eight?
Yeah, I mean, Caravan, he can't drop 27 again like he did on UCLA. At the end of the day, it's like that's what killed him, 2 nights ago, or whatever it was. It's just, I mean, once you couldn't keep him off the glass either. Him and Terrace Reed, just lethal, honestly. And so I think really if our big men can hold it down, especially, Coop. And honestly, what I will say too, underrated about Carr's game, just because he's such an athletic freak. He can jump out of the gym. If he goes for rebounds, I mean, he can get up there and grab some offensive boards. That's kind of what I've been saying for, like, even last year, I wanted to see more of him. I want to see him crash the boards just because, I mean, he can jump over anybody. And so if we can limit Caravan offensively, meaning rebounds and points, we can kind of hold them on that, and we just can just shoot the rock. Kurtane needs to hit a couple threes. Kohler, he needs to hit at least 2 threes. And then Jeremy Fears, I mean, he's been playing so good. I think he's probably due for a big assist game here. Potentially a 20-point assist or 20 assist game here. Just because he's been basically doing it. I mean, it's been close now. What, past 2 games? He
Yeah,
had like
didn't he just have like 14?
Yeah.
he had 8 he
Yeah.
had 8 assists in like 5 minutes, and then like took him out against North Dakota and whatnot because it was just insane. I get that's 2 different teams, but still, it's just he's been playing well, and I think it inspires everybody else too. I think he really is kind of like the leader of this team. If the other guys see him playing well and all that, then I think everybody else just kind of gets a little confidence boost. And so yeah,
No,
so
that's a good
obviously
point.
I'm a lean MSU as well, but I think it'll be a dogfight, and I think the sports books have it basically at 1.5. I mean, it's basically almost a pick 'em between the two, so it'll be a good
Yeah.
match. I'll be tuned in for sure.
Yeah, for MSU's sake, you made a good point, Grant, of like the supporting cast is gonna have to be able to hit their shots for, if Fears is getting them the ball. Like that's what they've been doing all tournament, which has helped them
Uh-huh.
a lot in terms of his assist numbers, but just like I think building that confidence too. Like I'm seeing Cooper take, these little baseline jump shots that normally he probably wouldn't do. But because he's gotten, 2, 3 easy looks before that, it's kind of just building that confidence for him. Uh, and same with, Carr too, get a couple breakout dunks or transition, easy layups and, all of a sudden he's feeling good about his games. I think, yeah, you're gonna have to stop obviously some of the more experienced guys on UConn from knocking down their shots. How is how are we gonna respond if they do go on a run? We can't go ice cold if they end up, breaking away on a 8 to 10 point run. We got to be able to respond. So, but yeah, I think I don't even remember. Did we pick UConn or I
We
think we did.
yeah, we picked UConn, but we're gonna switch that up, and obviously we're gonna pick Michigan State.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
we
be rooting for Michigan State. In terms of for the bracket points, I mean, hey, if UConn wins,
Yeah, yeah.
I guess it's best of both worlds, a win-win situation for us. So,
I don't even care about
but
my
yeah,
bracket. I hope we dog walk them. I don't even care. I hope a whole bracket, yeah, all of it. If Michigan State wins it all,
Oh yeah.
good. No
Yeah, yeah.
problems over here.
It's a win-win situation. If state wins, okay. Obviously, that's what we all want, right? That's the best scenario. But if
right.
UConn wins, it's for the bracket. So there's no harm, no foul right there. So yeah, absolutely. And then last game to cap off the Sweet 16, you got Tennessee and Iowa State. Just quick thoughts. Iowa State has been looking great. Without their best player in Joshua Jefferson. But Tennessee has also been playing pretty good. Those two games that they had, against Virginia or the game against Virginia, they played pretty well, in that comeback. Uh, and then we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, Iowa State, kind of got rid of Kentucky pretty easily, but I'm gonna lean. I think I'm gonna go Iowa State here. I'm gonna keep it how it is in the bracket.
See, I'm gonna change things up actually. I don't know. I like the way Tennessee's been playing ball. I think they handled Virginia very nicely. And then what I will say is quickly, just because I'm looking at it and I realized that absolutely trashed Miami, Ohio, in the last one. So very quickly, I will apologize for the very first part of that. However, what I will not apologize for is them still being one of the worst teams out there because SMU is actually the worst team out there. Miami, Ohio just happens to be slightly better than them, um, but yeah, I mean they just handled business. They just got it done. They just look good to me this whole tournament. I like you mentioned with Iowa State missing their best guy. I know they've looked good. I mean Kentucky, I'm not bought in. I mean almost lost their first matchup. I mean should have lost their first game if it wasn't for that heave at the very end of the game, or so it's just like that with a combination of then Iowa State just doing what they should have done. I think, in my opinion, I wasn't necessarily like moved one way or another by them, but I think it'll be a really good game. I'm gonna lean with Tennessee.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, Tennessee. I mean, was it Nate, right?
Yep.
He's been
Hmm.
playing pretty well
He's
for
good.
him. He's another guy I think that's probably raised his stock a little bit to at least some of these teams going into the draft. But I'm gonna have to agree with you, Sean. Probably stick with Iowa State. And there probably will come a point to where them not having Jefferson is gonna matter. But at least for this game, I think they can survive one more round um, before really having to worry about that loss of production. But it's another. I think every single game in this Sweet 16 is going to be pretty good. I'm hoping. I mean, it better be. They're playing these games at like 10 at night, 11 at night. So
Yeah.
if I'm going to stay up to watch them, they better be good.
Man, no, that's facts. Yeah. So we'll see. And, we touched on Jefferson, so it's possible that he could, come back for this game too, which, obviously I think Iowa State would want, and that would be a huge boost for the Cyclones there. So, yeah, and then, obviously, it's from Sweet 16, you go to the Elite Eight on Saturday and Sunday. So, we're rooting for the Spartan Dogs to obviously get there. They play on Sunday with a chance to the Final Four. Grant, I know you're rooting for your Hogs, so
Go Hogs.
obviously I'm
Go
rooting for the
Hogs.
Hogs as well. I don't think anybody else that makes it. As long as Purdue doesn't make it, because I said this last episode, I'm not a fan of Purdue at all. So I'm hoping that Nebraska can get it done, but if
Or
not,
Alabama.
then
Or Alabama.
yeah,
Roll Tide.
yeah, roll tide, yes sir, yes sir. Yeah, so and then, real quick before we end things, I know we've been focusing on NCAA, but just on the NBA side, today, as we're recording this, the National Basketball Players Association basically came out with a statement, along with Cade's agent, basically saying that Cade Cunningham, they should work out something, because of the whole 65 game rule, the collapsed lung. Oh, we didn't even talk about that because it happened last week, and we were doing March Madness. So yeah, Cade Cunningham, collapsed lung. He's going to be out for the next couple weeks. Could possibly miss, the rest of the regular season, whatever. So the NBA PA came out today, basically said, Cade Cunningham potential ineligibility for postseason awards after a career-defining season is a clear indictment of the 65-game rule. Yet another example of why it must be abolished or reformed to create an exception for significant injuries. Since its implementation, far too many deserving players have been unfairly disqualified from the end of season awards by this arbitrary and overly rigid quota. So this, you guys start. I mean, real quick, just so we've been focused on NCAA, and we'll dive more into it, as in our next NBA full pod. But glad to see that they're saying something for Cade. Obviously he's having a career year. The Pistons are the number one seed, clinched playoff spot, da da da. But my first thought was, okay, if they're making this for Cade, then how many other players are gonna come out and say the same?
Yeah. It's gonna be basically everybody, and then I mean I don't know if they fully abolish it. I think they'll heavily modify it. And I don't know how you do that, whether you do say this man missed, a month with this injury, like that doesn't count because it was consecutive maybe or something, or it was an actual um, a break of something, whatever why, whatever the injury actually was. But you could maybe form it around that. Like I haven't seen like any of the options that they're looking at if that were to be the case, or I haven't like looked up any proposed ones. Um, I don't know. Once we do our next one though, I'll definitely try to think of some other ideas because I think it will be reformed at the end of the day. Uh, just because I mean things like this is you're gonna get guys as we look back in the history books who it's like you tell me Peyton Pritchard won MVP, like where else we're gonna get to at some point, it'll just be it just at some point it's got to be enough. I mean I get it. I mean I'm all for. I mean I dog a lot of players for not playing here and there, but 65 games and a league where we have so many back to backs, guys don't play enough as it is anyway. It's just it's got to be changed. I mean if it was maybe one player in particular that was always out like that and that like was always getting the awards, everybody else was fine. It's no problem. But, we're seeing it now with, I mean, like you mentioned, it's Cade, but then who's next? Who's going to be the one that says this or this or that?
Yeah, it's probably gonna get changed in the next couple years, but it just depends on too, like, is this gonna be a year where unfortunately there's just more guys not hitting that 65 game mark than there have been in the past couple years, or next season are we going to see something similar? At least they're starting to bring it up because I do agree. I think like if a guy only plays 63 games, like, and he is clearly a all NBA player or a MVP candidate, I don't think he should have to be punished because he didn't play those other two games. Like there should be a way to still tell the full story of the season, without putting an asterisk of like, well, he actually only played 62 games, instead of the full 65. They'll probably have more talks about it this off season, but yeah, in terms of for Cade's sake too, it's like, you know, at what point are you gonna draw the line then too if you're gonna allow him an exception, because then there's other guys who maybe they do have a good reason, but they played even less games. So it's gonna get a little messy probably, but yeah, we'll be able to hopefully see a little bit more where it might be headed later in the off season.
Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, I just wanted to tease that a little bit, for our next, NBA pod as we get up for the playoffs. We got about 10, 11 games left in the regular season. So, we're getting closer to that play-in playoff. So, after March Madness is done, we'll jump right into that. That would be fun. We'll so upset that we won't get our annual play-in games, of the Atlanta Hawks, Chicago Bulls, Miami Heat. So disappointed about that, but yeah, it should be exciting to finally see some new teams in there. Yeah, but yeah, that's all we got for you guys today. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Give us your thoughts. Track your brackets and everything like that for March Madness, and then like I said, as we get to the playoffs as well. But for now, that's all we got. Catch you guys next time.